Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Wednesday the 7th of June. Before we get into the news, please remember to like this video, share your views in the comments and share the video with your family and friends.
Reach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
Now for the news in detail. Major John Nelson, the president of the Jamaica Rifle Association, JRA, is facing potential charges for illegal possession of a firearm after investigation by the Firearm Licensing Authority FLA found that he possessed a high-powered rifle without a permit. The investigation was launched when a 7.62 rifle, which was brought to Jamaica by Canadians for a shooting competition and was supposed to be taken out of the country afterward, was discovered to have been left behind. Nelson's dealer's license has been revoked, and the matter has been referred to the police to determine if charges will be filed. Possession of the prohibited weapon without the proper license is a breach of the Firearms Act. Nelson has confirmed receiving the revocation notice and stated that the JRA will issue a statement. His term as president of the JRA is set to end at the organization's annual general meeting later this month. The FLA has not provided further comments on the matter. A police operation in Paradise Gardens, St. James, resulted in over 20 children being removed from the Bay Yahweh religious compound due to suspicion of neglect and child abuse. The operation was carried out by the police and the Child Protection and Family Services Agency CPFSA, along with the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse CISOCA and the Jamaica Defense Force. Authorities discovered that the children were not receiving formal education, were not being immunized as required by law, and were living in conditions deemed unsuitable for their well-being. The children are currently being processed by the CPFSA representatives and are expected to appear before the court. In addition to the children, 15 adults were taken in by the police for questioning in relation to the allegations. Concerns about the practices of the Bay Yahweh group have been raised over the past 5 years. In 2019, security forces faced resistance when attempting to remove children from the compound due to reports of child abuse and underage marriages. The leader of the church was taken into custody and 3 children were removed during that raid. Some residents in the Paradise community expressed their discontent with the continuation of operations at the location. The St. Catherine South Police conducted an operation along the Helsha Main Road today in search of suspects involved in Tuesday night's abduction of a man and a woman in Gregory Park, Portmore. The victims were taken to Kingston, where they were forced to withdraw about $100,000 from ATMs. They were taken back to Helsha, where the man was killed and his body dumped along the roadway. The woman was not harmed. The police, who were tracking the vehicle, engaged the men in a shootout. One of the suspects was found suffering from bullet wounds. He was taken to hospital where he later died. The other suspects escaped in the mangroves and are being pursued by the police. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck expressed disappointment in the inadequate sentence given to convicted rapist Davian Bryan. Bryan pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including rape and forcible abduction, and received a sentence of just over 23 years in prison with eligibility for parole after 16 years. Chuck believed that a life sentence would have been more appropriate, as Bryan had admitted to being a sexual predator. He emphasized the importance of consulting with victims and their families in determining suitable sentences, noting that the law allows for such consultations. Minister Chuck highlighted the need to consider the concerns of victims and their relatives during the sentencing process. Meanwhile, the head of a legal association has criticized Delroy Chuck's comments, expressing disappointment at the sentence given to Bryan. The president of the Advocates Association of Jamaica, Leonard Green, called the minister's comments inappropriate and expressed concern about their potential impact on the judiciary. Former prosecutor Kemoy McEachran also criticized the minister for overstepping his powers and interfering with the role of the judiciary. The defense lawyer for Bryan, Petrita Gabidon, stated that the court had considered all relevant materials in determining the sentence. The Greater Portmore Criminal Investigations Branch is currently investigating the murder of a delivery man in Portmore Park, St. Catherine. The victim has been identified as 36-year-old O'Shane McLean from Dreamland Drive in Portmore. According to reports, McLean was carrying out furniture deliveries in the area around noon when a grey motor car approached. A lone gunman got out of the vehicle and shot McLean. The police were called to the scene and McLean was rushed to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. The investigation into the incident is ongoing. Usain Bolt's attorney Linton Gordon has indicated that Bolt may break his silence and give interviews about the alleged disappearance of almost $2 billion from his Stocks and Securities Limited account. Bolt is concerned about the lack of updates from authorities and wants assurances for depositors and investors. While Bolt has refrained from speaking out in the interest of protecting Jamaica's image, frustrations over the situation may lead him to share his experience. Bolt's attorney highlighted that any public criticism from Bolt could harm Jamaica's financial sector and undermine trust in the government's ability to protect depositors. Bolt's legal team has reached out to SSL and the Ministry of Finance but has not received a response. The FSC has taken temporary management of SSL and is seeking to control the company and initiate a claims validation process with clients. Bolt and another client has filed separate lawsuits against SSL. Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs Marlene Malahou-Fort assured the religious community that the government has no intention of disturbing law clauses in the Constitution or repealing pre-existing laws that conflict with the fundamental beliefs of the Church. Malahou-Fort addressed concerns from the Christian community regarding potential changes to the clause protecting the Buggery Law and the law against abortion. She emphasized that the government does not intend to clash with the Church or any other well-thinking members of the Jamaican society on issues that are integral to the country's fabric. While acknowledging the issue of abortion raised by a parliamentary colleague, the minister expressed her personal stance against supporting it, citing her own history and experiences of her mother who was advised to abort her. She made it clear that abortion would not be her platform and that she holds a particular position based on her personal narrative and respect for her own life. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced that a joint select committee of Parliament will be formed to review job descriptions and the code of conduct for ministers and the members of parliaments. Holness stated that the process is well underway with consultations already taking place with the opposition. The committee will be responsible for finalizing the job descriptions and the code of conduct, which will be made public and serve as a framework for evaluating the performance of politicians. Additionally, the committee will establish an accountability framework to ensure integrity within the Parliament. The leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, expressed support for the initiative and stated that the opposition intends to engage constructively in the process. They have received the job descriptions and will name their representatives to the Joint Select Committee once it is established. The increase in processing fees for some non-immigrant visa applications to the United States has been delayed and will now take effect on June 17, 2023, instead of the previously scheduled date of May 30. The U.S. State Department made a decision to postpone the fee increases. The fee adjustments were published in a ruling in the Federal Register on March 28. The changes apply to various categories of non-immigrant visas, including visitor visas, temporary worker visas, and treaty trader/investor visas. The fees are based on the actual cost of providing services, as determined through a study of costs. Other fees, such as the waiver fee for certain exchange visitors, are not affected by this rule. The fees for most non-petition-based non-immigrant visas were last updated in 2012, with certain other fees last updated in 2014. The main suspect in the murder of 90-year-old retired public health inspector and Justice of the Peace Kenneth Downer is in police custody. Senior Superintendent Dwight Powell, head of the St. Ann Police Division, confirmed that after extensive investigations, the man was held as he was about to board a bus in St. Anne's Bay on Tuesday afternoon. Downer was killed at his home in Huntley District in Brownstown during an attempted robbery on the 1st of June. In business, Brokerage firm Mayberry Investments Limited has experienced a cyber attack by the dark web group Play Ransomware, resulting in the exposure of personal information belonging to government ministers, parliamentarians, former senators, and business leaders. The breached data dating back to 2009 include margin loans, portfolio details, bank statements, and other recent information related to Jamaica Stock Exchange listed companies. Mayberry has reassured clients that their financial positions remain unaffected and has taken measures to address the situation. On Tuesday, Mayberry asked its clients to actively monitor all accounts and contact their financial institution if they notice any suspicious and/or unusual activity. Clients were also told to change passwords to all accounts that they operate. In the region, Canada has announced that it will allow visa-free travel for known travelers from 13 Caribbean countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The visa-free travel has been extended to countries such as Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Panama, among others. However, Jamaica did not make the list. Known travelers who hold a Canadian visa, obtained one in the past 10 years, or have a valid US visa, will be allowed entry into Canada after obtaining an electronic travel authorization, which will be valued for 5 years or until the passport expires. On the international scene, a shooting occurred outside a theater in Richmond, Virginia, shortly after a high school graduation ceremony, resulting in 7 people being shot. 2 individuals were killed and 5 others were injured. The 19-year-old suspect attempted to flee but was apprehended and will be charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder. The incident caused panic among the attendees, who fled the scene in chaos. Multiple handguns were recovered, and the police believe the suspect knew at least one of the victims. The shooting took place near Virginia Commonwealth University, and at least 12 others were treated for injuries or anxiety. In sports, Serena Cole has transitioned into the professional realm by signing a contract with sports apparel company Nike. Cole, who won the silver medal in the 100-meter event at the 2022 World Under-20 Championships, will now be training with the MVP track club under the guidance of Stephen Francis. Sources have confirmed that she has already joined the club and has begun following the training program set by Francis. And in the weather report, the Meteorological Service of Jamaica has indicated that a trough persisting over the island is causing unstable weather conditions. The trough is projected to remain in the central Caribbean region for the next few days, resulting in continued instability in the weather. Expect increased showers, thunderstorms, and occasional gusty winds in many areas of the country into the weekend. According to the Met Office's forecast for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there may be mostly cloudy conditions with showers and thunderstorms occurring in various parts of most parishes. And that is it for your news roundup for today. We would appreciate you liking this video, leaving a comment, and sharing the video with your family and friends. Have a good evening and see you next time.